Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, and we're going to be looking again at the fair value of Bitcoin according to logarithmic regression models. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the sale on the premium list at intothecryptoverse.com. We'll have that run for a couple weeks. So if you want to lock in the lower rate, we are now having another sale. You can do so, and you can keep that rate as long as you do not cancel. If you want a more extensive tour of what you'll get, then go to the website. There's a video there that will show you. One of the things that we have on the website is the fair value logarithmic regression band for Bitcoin. And this is fit to all data. Okay, so there's no subjectivity in the data in terms of what I think is important or not important. This is fit to all data. And using logarithmic regression fit to all data, it currently says that the fair value of Bitcoin is right around $33,000, somewhere between $33,000 and $34,000 by this metric is considered to be the fair value. Now, we're going to talk about it a different way as well after we talk about this one. Okay, so I will say that. Now, we mentioned this one a few weeks ago when we were in the downtrend. Okay, and we are still potentially in a macro downtrend. Bitcoin has not yet proven that the macro downtrend is over, but we always know that it could be. But one of the interesting things, I think one of the biggest takeaways from this logarithmic regression curve is that it tells a fairly similar story from one cycle to another. And that story is, namely, whenever we go below it, the fair value band, not the fair value, but the band that we have for the fair value, it typically means we are then entering into the very beginning stages of a new reaccumulation zone that could last upwards of 1 to 2 years. Okay? If we go below it. This is what history tells us. Again, I don't control, what it says or does not say. I just want to inform you about what it says. So, if we go below it, unfortunately, it's not a great metric for saying, okay, things are going to go down for a while. It is a good metric for saying if you have cash on the sidelines going below these levels, this is typically your, accumulation phase of a lifetime zone. However, there has been an instance where we went down to the fair value band and actually held it as support. And namely, you'll see that occurred in 2013. We came down to the fair value band, held it as support, and then we ended up going up much higher before coming back down later on and failing to hold it as support. So the accumulation phase that preceded this cycle over here was during this phase over here when we fell below the fair value logarithmic regression band. For 2013, it's possible that we could have dropped below it here, but we didn't, right? We didn't. We held it as support, and we had another leg. And then later on, we came back down to it. We failed to hold it. And then by the time we came back down into this region, it wasn't a sell signal per se. It was just, hey, you need to get in the right mentality. And the right mentality at this point is that we're likely looking at 1 to 2 years of long accumulation before you get another blow off top. In 2018, we came down to it and we failed to hold it and we dropped below. And what did it mean again? It mean we had another 1 to 2 years of reaccumulation before really pushing higher and getting back above it. And we find ourselves once again in a fairly precarious situation. We were here during the summer, and we are here again now. And I think we're sort of right at the top of the band. Remember, the 2013 band, we went all the way down to the bottom of it before ultimately moving higher and putting in new highs. If you zoom into what's going on today, we actually dipped into it back in the summer of 2021. We popped out of it, and then since then we've come back down. Now, we actually went to the fair value at around $33,000. And while it might, you might look at this and say, well, it looks like this only went down to $35K, the price. We know, anyone who follows Bitcoin knows that if you look at, say, hourly data or, what happens on an hourly time frame, there was definitely a day where Bitcoin did, in fact, go all the way down to the fair value at approximately $33,000. So the argument, or at least one of the things I think we could say about this, is that as long as we stay above this band, then we are still theoretically in business without having to go through a long, 2-year reaccumulation phase. All right. Now, One of the ways to think about this is where is the band today? Like what does it vary between? Because when we held it in 2013, it varied from around $66 to $94. Okay, so now the band, and I can actually get a pretty good read from it over here as well. But the band now ranges from around 27,000, almost 28,000 now, almost $28,000 up to over $33,000 for the fair value and up to 41K for the upper part of the band. So right now we're actually above the band, but just barely. So more or less it ranges from, let's say, 28K up to 41K. What does this mean? Well, what's interesting is if you think about, say, the summer low of 29K, if we just draw a line here at the summer low, you can see that the summer low is going to be the sort of the bottom part of the lower bound regression band, right? So it'll be the lower bound on this fair value regression band, within the next month or two. And definitely by April, I would say that, we're looking at 29K as being the lower bound of this, fair value logarithmic regression band. So then the argument at that point becomes, well, if we end up dropping down to, say, 20K, or I know some people are calling for 15K, something like that. If we go back down to those levels, while it will not be fun, and it certainly would not be something that people want to experience, you should mentally note that would be the next accumulation phase of a lifetime, right? We don't get that many of them. I'm pretty careful when I call for them. By the way, the last time I called for it with Ethereum, it was at $200. And you saw what happened after that. So we cannot say that this is the accumulation phase of a lifetime. But the interesting thing is that if Bitcoin does hold this band as support over the next several months, and we push higher, then by the time we come back down to the band, and if we do drop below it, the undervaluation area of this logarithmic regression band could be the current prices, right? We just simply don't know. So it all depends on the extension from the fair value. Okay, so if we are at the fair value or in the band, you could argue that, okay, as long as you have the right outlook, multi-year outlook, it looks pretty good. Even when you're above the band, it's okay as long as you have like a 4 to 5 year outlook. When you're in the band, I don't necessarily think you need a 4-year outlook, but you do need to have something more than a couple months. If you're below the band, then what it means is that, look, this is just an accumulation phase of a lifetime, and you just need to have the discipline to recognize that even when we're down below those levels, and then just stick with it for as long as you can. This is, of course, if history is any indication. So this is the fair value logarithmic regression band based on all data. But there's another one that I subjectively picked certain data that I deemed non-bubble data. And while it is somewhat subjective, there was a formula for figuring it out. But if I just pull it up, this is what it looks like. And it's the green band. And so what the green band does, the green logarithmic regression band, attempts to exclude the bubble data and only cares about basically more or less when we're below the fair value band, right? So it sort of incorporates data below those levels and then fits it, and then we get the fair value according to quote unquote non-bubble data. When you take this into account, it says that the fair value is just below $20,000. So I think the argument is that the fair value of Bitcoin, according to logarithmic regression, based on non-bubble data, is around 20K. Based on all data, it's around 33 to 34K. It's actually closer now to 34K than 33K. So that would be the fair value. You can always get extended from the fair value. You can go below the fair value, but I'm just trying to provide an unbiased perspective on what, say, the fair value of a Bitcoin is based on logarithmic regression. So again, I hope this is somewhat useful. We did talk about these things a couple weeks ago. I just want everyone to have a plan, to understand that you don't need to stress about the prices every day, but just have a plan no matter what happens. If we go up into the upper bands and we hold the fair value as support, then we can always get another leg, which is what I would personally like to see based on lengthening cycles. If we go below the band, then you're looking at basically another long reaccumulation phase before eventually likely having another push back above it. So you need to have a plan no matter what happens, and then you need to stick to that plan rather than worrying about the price action every single day. Remember, you can get access to these charts and more. Go to intothecryptoverse.com. Again, we are having a sale on the premium list. So if you want to lock in the lower rate, you'll get access to the website. We have all sorts of charts. If you go to the website, there is a video that gives a tour of all the things that we have, or at least a lot of the things. You'll also get access to a Telegram alerts channel, a Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, 3 weekly premium videos. One of those is now a live stream, and a newsletter each week, a lot of stuff. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that comes with it. So you can always check it out for a month. If it's not your thing, you can always cancel. But this is what we do when we're not on making public YouTube videos. Is I try to build out this website to have as many tools as possible. And we have total crypto market cap, Bitcoin charts, Ethereum charts. We have social metric charts to gauge retail is coming in or not. We have derivative charts. We have on-chain charts. We have all sorts of things. So the whole idea is to have a central dashboard where we can really monitor the entire cryptocurrency asset class and have a plan on how to best navigate it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe at the very least. The premium list is certainly not for everyone. And if you have a smaller portfolio, then I would actually encourage you not to get it, right? You just be better off DCAing into the market. But if you want a few more tools, I do think this is a good platform to use. Of course, I am somewhat biased, right? But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.